We have to start over. Well, I'm going to have to roll up this yarn again and make it into a ball. This is my Kleenex cover, Kleenex box cover that I made. I crocheted this, and the granny square is called a cross in a granny square. It's got this very beautiful filigree work that I really like. And I made a border going across the top of each of these granny squares to make the square longer to cover the top of this Kleenex box.
Thank you for watching my video. Please subscribe and like. This is Scooby. Hello, let's start crocheting. This is Scooby.
We are going to make a cross in a granny square, and it has 4 rounds, and when it's done it should be about 5.5 inches or 13.9 centimeters. So we're going to start with an alternative ring. So we are going to make a slip stitch, and we are going to chain 6 . And if I'm going too fast or too slow for you, you can change the speed in the video to go faster or slower, whichever you prefer. So we chain 6, and then we're going to make an alternative ring. I prefer an alternative ring over a magic ring for this cross in a granny square. So for round 1, we're going to chain 3, and this is going to count as our first double crochet. And then we're going to work 15 double crochet into the ring, and then we're going to slip stitch into the first double crochet at the beginning of the round. We are not slip stitching in the chain of 3, but in the first double crochet.
Let's crochet round 2.
We're going to begin by chaining 3. Okay, so we chained 3. Now we're going to do 2 double crochet in the same stitch, which is actually in the post down in here. That is the whole key of this whole project, is to be doing your crocheting into the post. So this chain counts as the first double crochet. Now we're going to do 2 double crochet in the same stitch, which is down in here. If you crochet into the stitch instead of in the post, when you get further on into the square, your filigree work is not going to line up. Okay, so we have that completed into the stitch. Now, whenever you see in our project chain of 2 and skipping a stitch, that's going to be the filigree, the spaces, the holes in the project. So we're going to chain 2. Now, when we skip a stitch, we're actually skipping a stitch. We're not looking into the post. So this is the next stitch here. This V, that's what we're skipping. And we're going to DC double crochet into the next post, which is right here. It's right next to this previous stitch that we skipped. So when we're double crocheting US terms, we're going to go into the post here. So it looks like this from the top and that from the side. Okay, and we're doing a double crochet. Okay, now we have our first side. Now we're going to, now let's look back at what we did. This cluster is going to be considered as a corner. Knowing that our square has 4 corners, we're going to have 2 sides in between each corner. And that's what the whole square is for all of the rounds. Now we're going to repeat that. So we're going to slip stitch at the end at the first chain of 3. And why? Because that closes your square. If you didn't, it looked like there was another space. Okay, and then we're going to find the chain of 3 at the top, and we're going to slip stitch as well. So when looking at this square, see how I just kind of turned this a little bit? Because this here, these 2 spaces up here, that's your top of your square. Now where you're working at over here. So you want to have 2 spaces on the top, 4 corners. So you would count this as a corner, and this second corner, third corner, and your 4th corner would be right here. And you want your spaces to be in between each corner. Let's crochet round 3. For round 3, we're going to chain 3, which I've already done. And then we're going to do 5 double crochets in the next double crochet in the post. So we're going to look for our post for our next double crochet, which is right here. We're going to do 5. We're going to do 1 DC into the next DC. We're working into the cluster. So we're right here. We're going to go into this double crochet, the next one. Okay. Now we have finished and completed this part right here. So with round 3, we just completed 5 double crochet. Now we want to do 1 more double crochet in the next double crochet, which is right here. This is where we're going to be making this. because we're following the pattern from the previous round. Now we know that we're going to make 2 spaces because we have 2 spaces in this previous round. And we want everything to line up.
Let's crochet round 4.
Round 4 for our cross and granny square. What we're going to do is we're going to chain 3 and we're going to double crochet into the next 2 double crochets. So we're going to double crochet into this double crochet and this one. Then into the next one, the third one, we're going to do 5 double crochets into here. Now we have 3 remaining double crochets left into this cluster corner. And in each of these 3, we're going to do a double crochet. This one, and in this one. And then we're going to do our 2 sides.
Let's crochet the border.
I'm going to be making a small edging. So the way that I made this is I started off here and not at the top, but into the corner. I put in new yarn at the top and I made 1 single crochet. Then I did a chain of 3. That created my height. You could do a chain of 4 if you prefer, if you want your height higher. And then you do a single crochet. After we have made this, which is right here, now we're going to single crochet into the next 3 stitches. So I did that. My knot on here. And I'm going to insert my crochet hook into the corner. And I'm going to put it about right here.
Time to whip stitch the granny squares together.
And I began the whip stitch below the border. And I went down to about right here. And I do have a space at the bottom. So I have a space at the bottom where there's no whip stitching, and at the top. Now that I have all of the granny squares whip stitched, I'm going to be making something like elastic that's going to go around the middle of my squares. So when I have the tissue box holder on the tissue itself, it's going to fit tightly and not loose. So I started here. I used the end of when I made my magic circle. I weaved in a long piece of thread going across the granny squares to about right here. It's about the middle of the second square. And so now I'm going to add some more thread on the other side, and I'm going to do the same thing. So now I have created near the top by the border another piece of yarn going across. I put the string through to the front.